King Charles, Keir Starmer, and Angela Rayner, three figures you'd never expect to see locked in a public display of unity, stepped onto the soil of Newquay today in what can only be described as a staged political spectacle. The optics were clear, the monarchy and Labour's leadership standing together, parading through Cornwall's sustainable developments, shaking hands and smiling for the cameras. But behind this carefully curated image of progress, a darker reality lurked. At a time when Labour is drowning in scandal, embroiled in a vile WhatsApp controversy that has exposed deep-seated anti-Semitism and political cruelty, and as the British farming community faces collapse under Labour's punishing inheritance tax plans, why was King Charles so eager to stand alongside Starmer and Rayner? The official explanation: a tour of sustainable initiatives highlighting the success of Newquay Orchard, Nansledden School, and the Kew and Lurg Business Hub. The real explanation: a desperate behind-the-scenes alliance, a carefully orchestrated narrative designed to cement Labour's legitimacy while giving the monarchy a political anchor as public trust continues to fracture. The visit started at Newquay Orchard, a seemingly innocent community project providing employment and training opportunities. Charles, Starmer and Rayner observed staff and volunteers in the community kitchen, where individuals struggling to find work were being given support. The numbers sounded impressive: 6.8 tons of food produced for the community, thousands of vegetable bags delivered, young people trained in green skills. But beneath the PR-friendly statistics, the tension was palpable. Here was King Charles, a man long associated with protecting Britain's countryside and its farming traditions, standing beside the very people accused of betraying the agricultural industry. At that exact moment, hundreds of miles away, third-generation farmer Clive Bailey was issuing a desperate warning that under Labour's harsh inheritance tax raids, his son Henry may be the last generation of their family to farm. Labour's economic agenda, far from supporting sustainability, is being blasted by Britain's rural communities as a direct attack on their survival. Yet Charles did not utter a word about it. At the second stop, Nansledden School, the royal and political trio were met with cheers from pupils. The curriculum, designed to promote sustainability, STEM education, and active learning, seemed to fit neatly into Labour's education narrative. It was the perfect setting for Starmer to posture as a leader investing in the nation's future, all while his party battles a growing storm over anti-Semitism and internal corruption. The WhatsApp scandal, a horrifying exposé of messages from Labour figures, including Health Minister Andrew Gwynn, who was swiftly sacked and suspended, was rapidly escalating. The leaked texts revealed a culture of bigotry, entitlement, and disturbing cruelty, mocking elderly voters, making disgusting anti-Semitic remarks, and joking about someone being hit by a truck. And yet, here was Starmer, grinning in a classroom, shaking hands with teachers, while his entire party faced accusations of harbouring deep-seated prejudices. Meanwhile, King Charles, expected to remain neutral in politics, stood there, legitimising it all with his presence. The final stop was Kew and Lurg, a business and community hub that had all the trappings of an economic success story. Starmer and Rayner met with local entrepreneurs, including a digital marketing agency, a TV production company, and a nursery school. The staged event painted a picture of Labour as the party of economic growth, fostering small businesses and innovation. But the reality: Labour's tax policies and economic mismanagement have sent waves of uncertainty through British business owners. The same party shaking hands with Newquay's entrepreneurs today is the same party proposing policies that will choke businesses with higher taxes, stricter regulations, and economic instability. And then came the real twist in the story. While Starmer, Rayner and Charles celebrated sustainability, innovation and community resilience, behind closed doors, Labour's anti-Semitism crisis deepened. Burnley MP Oliver Ryan was being hauled into the Chief Whip's office, facing a brutal investigation over his role in the toxic group chat. His grovelling apology, claiming he had not seen every message but failed to challenge them, rang hollow. The Labour Party was on the verge of imploding under its own hypocrisy, and still, King Charles said nothing. The palace's silence in the face of Labour's deepening crisis was becoming impossible to ignore. Was this royal endorsement of Starmer and Rayner intentional, or was Charles simply being used as a political prop to legitimise a crumbling government? The timing was beyond suspicious. For many, the optics of this visit sent the wrong message. If the king had truly wanted to champion sustainability and community growth, why not appear alongside non-partisan organisations, independent leaders, or apolitical charities? Why align so openly with Labour at a time when its leadership is mired in disgrace? The answer was clear: this was a transactional internal relationship. Charles, whose reign has been plagued with public skepticism, needed a political foothold, with Labour looking increasingly likely to cement power. Aligning with Starmer and Rayner provided a safeguard for the monarchy's future. But at what cost? By standing with Labour's scandal-ridden leadership, Charles risked his own credibility, turning the monarchy into a political pawn in a time of growing disillusionment. Meanwhile, the British farming community, already on the brink of collapse, felt abandoned. If the king had any loyalty to the land and the people who had supported the monarchy for centuries, why didn't he use his platform to address Labour's tax raid on farmers? And what about the wider public? What message does this send to the British people, to working-class voters, to those who have suffered under Labour's economic failures, to those disgusted by the anti-Semitism scandals unfolding within the party's ranks? The backlash was swift and fierce. Social media erupted with criticism, with many questioning whether the monarchy had lost its neutrality for good. "Why is Charles backing Starmer?" one furious commentator wrote. "This is a disgrace. The monarchy is supposed to represent the people, not a political party." Others pointed out the stark hypocrisy. King Charles had spent years championing farmers, rural Britain, and environmental progress, yet now stood with the very party accused of betraying these communities. As the visit wrapped up, the carefully constructed illusion remained intact, at least on the surface. But beneath the smiles and handshakes, the cracks were glaring. This wasn't just a routine royal visit. This was a defining moment, one that revealed a monarchy increasingly tied to political manoeuvring, a Labour leadership desperately clinging to credibility, and a growing divide between Britain's elites and the people they claim to serve. As King Charles departed Newquay, the real question lingered in the air. Has the monarchy just made a mistake it can never undo? The fallout from King Charles's highly controversial appearance, alongside Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner, is only just beginning. The backlash has been swift, brutal, and relentless. And it's not just coming from political commentators. The British public is fuming. Social media is in meltdown as accusations fly that the king has compromised the monarchy's neutrality at a time when Labour is under intense scrutiny. The optics of a royal endorsement, intentional or not, of Starmer's leadership while his party is mired in an anti-Semitism scandal is a disaster for Buckingham Palace. For years, Charles has carefully crafted an image of being above politics, focused on environmental activism, rural preservation, and traditional British values. And yet, this public display with Labour's top brass amid political turmoil suggests a dangerous shift, one where the monarchy is no longer seen as a neutral institution, but an active participant in Labour's political theatre. And let's not forget, this isn't just about optics. There are real consequences to what just happened in Newquay. While Starmer and Rayner stood grinning next to King Charles, Labour's anti-Semitism crisis intensified. The WhatsApp scandal is spiralling out of control, with dozens of Labour figures now under the microscope. This isn't just about one rogue MP. This is a full-blown purge. Sources inside Labour are reporting that senior figures are in panic mode, knowing that this scandal could destroy Starmer's carefully curated reputation as the leader who supposedly cleaned up Labour's anti-Semitism problem. And while Labour scrambles to contain the damage, farmers are declaring war on the government over the inheritance tax raids that threaten to wipe out generational farming families. The anger in rural Britain is boiling over, and Charles's decision to remain silent while standing next to Labour's leadership is being seen as the ultimate betrayal. So where does this leave King Charles? It's one thing for the king to champion environmental sustainability, but it's another thing entirely for him to be used as a political shield for a party drowning in controversy. If Charles truly cared about Britain's farmers, about protecting British heritage, about remaining above the fray of party politics, then why did he allow himself to be paraded around by Labour at this crucial moment? And if the monarchy has now tied itself to Labour, what happens when this government inevitably faces collapse? Because, make no mistake, this scandal is not going away. Labour is desperately clinging to legitimacy, and today they got exactly what they needed: a royal stamp of approval, a photo op that suggests unity and stability. But Charles may have just sacrificed something far more important: his own credibility. The monarchy is supposed to be a stabilising force, a symbol of continuity above politics. But today, Charles stepped over that line, and Britain will never see him the same way again. The monarchy's neutrality is in tatters, the British public is waking up, and the fallout from this political catastrophe is only just beginning. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Has Charles just made the biggest mistake of his reign?